we love the way life works. A cappella, no less. This man is amazing. He is multifaceted, and we are so blessed to have him in our ministry for 13 years. And, wow, it went fast, didn't it, honey? Yeah. 13 years. And 2021, I will be here 20 years. And Terry Whitaker was here. She actually was the original founder, but Interfaith Spiritual Center was doing business as Adventures Enlightenment was actually the nonprofit. So when I put everything in place, I became the founder after the 14 months that she was here. And in that energy field of acknowledging inner faith, that there is that which is within us that is greater than that which resides in the world of conditions, appearances, and effects. This is why I love our way of life, is it's a cause and effect relationship. Our theme for the month, which I have totally loved, the season of light. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And that light is the energy of humanity. And that as our humanness gives way to the divine, that light arises through us as Christ consciousness, the Buddha nature, the holy I am presence. That when Moses looked into that burning bush and said, who are you? What are you? The voice of I am answered, cast off your shoes, for where you stand is holy ground. In other words, there is nothing and no thing that comes between us and our spiritual knowingness. Today's topic is one of my favorites, the spirit of peace. Jesus was so clear when he said, my peace I give to you. My peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Oh, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You believe in God, believe also in me. And what he was saying, not the me of the little personality self, the me, the Christ consciousness, the way, the truth, and the life. No man, woman comes to the Father, Mother, God, except by right of their own Christ consciousness. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. That we have a choice. And in our way of life, we take classes and we take seminars. We learn to release the past, that which no longer serves us. In every treatment that I do, every spiritual treatment I do. And remember, a spiritual treatment is a positive prayer of alignment. We do not worship an anthropomorphic God up in the sky in a great big old chair with a long flowing beard and a little black book. We know that God is energy and everywhere present. We know that God looks like cause and effect, a mechanical force, but a loving presence within each and every one of us. Be still and know that I am God, that we are co-creators with this energy. And when we realize that revelation of truth, that quickening of the Holy Spirit, we can never go back to the way that it was, because we've grown, we've expanded past that smaller consciousness into a higher spiritual vibratory frequency, into that octave of peace. My peace I give to you. My peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. In other words, not in this relative world give I unto you. But that truth, that eternal verity that stays within us, that has never been touched by grief, it has never taken offense nor given offense. It is the place of peace, the peace that passes all understanding. So when we are learning peace, you know, we've all been very exuberant about this way of life, but to allow it to settle into our bones, to embody this energy, to live in the world, but not of it, but to realize that we are all spiritual beings, light workers, if you will, light bearers, if you will, carrying the torch of life. Now, George Bernard Shaw said something beautiful, and I just love it. He said, life is no brief candle for me. It is rather a splendid torch that I hold on just for the moment. And I'm going to let it burn as brightly as I can before passing it on to future generations. That we hold that torch of light. We let it burn as brightly as we can. And, the truth is, we're in the world. And we're, doing our thing in the world. And stuff happens. And I was in Costco a while back, and there was a man hurting everybody, and he was, into his little mechanical tin soldier stance of hurting everybody to this way and that way, and said, and get in that line. Well, I was already in that line, and I said, you know what? I don't care for your tone. He said, excuse me? He said, I don't care for your tone. You're hurting us like a bunch of cattle. I said, we're human beings here. Because I am so sorry that I offended you. And I said, you know what? I'm probably being overly sensitive. That we're all, wearing the mask, we're getting in lines, we're doing the thing, everything is so different now. And I said, so you and I can come to a place of peace. You treat us like human beings, and we'll treat you as a human being as well. And, we all have like our little stuff that goes on. I was surprised at myself. And, but the truth is, forgive yourself and move on. That we're all not going to be sweetness and light over every single thing that happens. And, the whole, oh, isn't it wonderful? And, I can remember when my husband passed away, and one of the ministers, who's now passed on, said, oh, isn't it wonderful? He's with God. He's in the heavenly realm. Well, I've got a crying 7-year-old. I've got a crying mother. Why did my son die? I'm supposed to die I'm dealing with so much at that moment. And I was like stunned. And I could not agree with her. I was still feeling the pain and the grief of the human emotion. And when we feel the pain and the grief of the human emotion and go through all the 4 stages of grief, we come out on the other side healed. And so what was so fascinating to me, if we look at Karma, her son was killed a month later in an auto accident. She went to pieces. I did not go up there and say, isn't it wonderful? Your son is with God and the angels. Isn't it wonderful? All sweetness and light, right? No. I hugged her in compassion. I said, what a tragedy. What a tragedy. You will heal. She didn't. She died of a broken heart. She was dead within 3 months. So we can put out all this sweetness and light and put the peanut butter over the rotten bread. But the truth is, we've got to heal our own issues. If we can't feel it, we can't heal it. The heart is the doorway to the soul. There are times we're going to fly off the handle. We just have to. I have a friend that says, sometimes I shoot from the hip and I clean it up later. But, we have our human moments. It's all right. Forgive yourself. Let it go. We have this part of us. And in our way of life, as we begin to embody, we don't take things personally. And I love it when I'm in that mode. I am not always in that mode. I'm not that evolved yet. I'm still here on the planet. I still have feet of clay in my Armanis. But, the truth is that we are in the world, but not of it. And to be of that vibratory frequency where we can experience life at such a deep level. I love the story of Bob Mortensen, who went to Pakistan, Southeast Asia as well. And all the children were drawing and they were writing in the sand. He said, what are you doing? They said, we're in school. You're in school? Yes, we're learning our alphabet. They're drawing in the sand. And he had an idea. And that idea was to raise money to build a school in this little village where the children were, their notebooks were in the sand. They were drawing in the sand. And he got to know the people in the village. And there was such a feeling of peace beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation. There was oneness. And he came to the United States. He raised funds. He built that school. He raised $15,000 the first time. He built a school, believe it or not, in Southeast Asia for $15,000 and began to build more schools. And he tells a story, and I know that Kay will love this. It's one of my very favorite stories, and he calls it 3 Cups of Tea. And as he sat in the village, in the little huts, they would offer him tea. Now their tea was hot water, salt, and rancid yak butter. That is their tea. Not like our little English breakfast. This was, or our wonderful good earth spice tea. This was hot water, salt, and rancid yak butter. And he said it took him a while to get used to it. Thank you. The first cup of tea, you're my guest. I welcome you into my home, my humble little hut. You're my guest. Then he went back, and they offered him a second cup of tea. And in their culture, if you are offered a second cup of tea, you're my friend. I welcome you into my home, into my humble home. You are my friend. And if you go back and they offer you a third cup of tea, you are family. I will die for you. That is their philosophy. You are family. We welcome you into the bosom of our family. We love you. You are one of us. And in the recognition of this 3 cups of tea, he took this in front of the United Nations. He took this beautiful, beautiful outgrowth of spiritual awareness and peace to everyone he spoke to raise funds. He's built over 20 schools in Southeast Asia. And he said, we sit down and we have our 3 cups of tea. And in that recognition of extending that energy one to the other, doesn't that become Holy Communion? That we are communing one with the other. And as we commune one with the other, we feel our oneness. My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You believe in God, believe also in your own energy of Christ consciousness, your holy Buddha nature, the I am presence that is ever with us, going before us and preparing the way as we become a lamp unto our own feet, drawing others into our light and into our energy field. And one of the great things about when we're not experiencing peace, the Course in Miracles states, I can choose peace instead of this. I can choose peace instead of this upset. I can choose peace instead of judging outside of myself. I can choose peace instead of whatever upset is going on in the outer world. And we're not talking about true suffering and grief. We move through these emotions, don't we? And we come out on the other side with a much more compassionate heart, that we have been touched in such a way that we'll never, ever, ever be the same. And I always say the day comes when we cease to weep that it's over, we begin to rejoice that it happened. And as we rejoice that it happened, we allow ourselves the beauty of the moments. My daughter and I used to have missing daddy sessions, and we think of all the funny things that he ever said, and we would just laugh, and sometimes we would cry, and we'd go through missing daddy sessions until we didn't need to do that anymore. That we knew that he was ever with us. That in the unseen world, and I loved when we had our Joan of Angels for Wednesday Night Live, that we talked about the unseen, our guides. We talked about the enlightened ones, the ascended masters that are in the energy field. And in the Japanese Shinto religion, they call it the Holy Mitama, where they call upon the ancestors that have moved off the planet, knowing that they are blessed by those who have been here and they're now in another realm. And so as we recognize the peace that passes all understanding, that we can choose peace instead of whatever is going on the planet, that we have our moments. Last year when I was, I just had moved in here, and I was getting draperies for my bedroom, and I was in Bed Bath & Beyond. I had all my, it's just amazing how at Bed Bath & Beyond they send you, it seems like weekly, 20% off things, and they have an expiration date, but they don't honor it. You know, you can just take them in. So I had my little stack of 20% offs, and as I was going in, it was really crowded. You know how they try to crowd everything in, you know, to get all the Christmas and everything, and they had a whole rack of Mrs. Fields cookies, and I, you know, was coming in with my cart, and I accidentally bumped the Mrs. Fields cookie rack, and many of them fell down. And a woman in line said, "Well, shame on you." And I said, you know, in our way of life, we're not into shaming or guilt. This was an honest mistake. Would you like to help me pick them up, and we'll put them back on the rack here? She goes, I like your philosophy. So I said, in our way of life, there is no sin. And we absolutely know there is no sin but a mistake. A mistake. There is no punishment but a natural consequence of cause and effect. So if we recognize there is no sin but a mistake, there is no consequence, you know, and we look at this energy and the consequences that unfold out of there is no sin but a mistake, and there is no punishment but a natural consequence of cause and effect, then we can begin to grow and take responsibility for our own lives, and then invite others in to assist us. And I told her, you know, we live in a very shaming society and an addictive society, so isn't it wonderful when we don't have to say, shame on you, that I said, we can go within and we can acknowledge stuff happens. We're in life. You know, Mrs. Fields cookies, you know, a few of them will fall down. We just put them back on the rack. I said, if it's probably Famous Amos, it wouldn't have happened. And I knew Famous Amos, and he came up with this cookie recipe, and it was just, it took off, and I still see them around once in a while. So I want you to know that peace is a choice, and that when we choose peace instead of what is going on in the outer world, we become so Christ-like. And when his disciples, remember his disciples when he said, go out, preach the gospel to all the nations. You are fishers of men. Go on out. Do your divine thing. And Peter said, but what if they reject us? What if we are not received? And what did Jesus say? Wipe the dust from off thy feet and go thy way in peace. You don't need to judge. Just wipe the dust from off your feet. Remember, they wore sandals everywhere. It was the desert. You just wipe the dust from off your feet. The feet represent understanding on the physical plane. So with all our getting this morning, let us get understanding. Let us get peace. Let us allow the energy of the universe to flow from us to others in a way that even if we're wearing a mask, they feel our smile, they feel our affirmation, they feel our peace, and they feel the love that we're putting out into the planet. And if you're thinking about, you know, Christmas and it's so different, remember the true meaning of Christmas, that we are the Magi following the star in the east. Now tomorrow is the winter solstice. Saturn and Jupiter are going to combine, and it is going, and this has not happened in 800 years. They're going to combine, and the Star of Bethlehem will be in the skies, as it was on that night that the Magi followed the star in the east. They came upon the Christ child. We come upon the Christ child within us, in the manger of our hearts and souls. We are the Christed one. Yes, we are. And I'm going to leave you with a beautiful story that Albert Schweitzer told, that when he was leaving Africa, a darling child came, a little African boy came, and he had brought him this amazing, amazing shell. It was absolutely beautiful. And this particular shell, you could only find in a certain bay, which was several miles away. And here this child brought him a Christmas gift of this amazing abalone shell that, you know how they shimmer and they're gorgeous. And Albert said, Dr. Schweitzer said, oh my goodness, oh, you came such a long way to bring me this gift. And the little African boy said, long walk, part of gift. And so today, as we look at the long walk to peace, is part of gift, that we give it unconditionally, that we allow the energy to come forth in such a way that we are so touched and moved by this energy of peace that we become healed in our own hearts and souls, and that we are never, ever again the same. We are moved, and we feel our oneness and our all-inclusivity in the recognition that as I embrace you, I embrace the energy of the Christ, of the Buddha, of the Holy I Am presence. And that does make all the difference. And so today we're all on a journey. That journey, like the little African boy, it may look like a long journey, because we're going somewhere. And where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. We are in a high place, and we will not come down. None of these outer things move us. We are in a high place. I am in the world, but not of it. I am in a high place, and I will not come down. And so it is. I say namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you, and the God in you salutes the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. Namaste. And I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding in this glorious time of sacredness of the Hanukkah lights, of the Hindu lights, Festival of Lights, of Ramadan, all the amazing Kwanzaa, amazing festivals that are going on right here and right now on the planet to bring forth a greater light to shine in the darkness, absorb it, and illuminate it. God bless you. I love you.